Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Resonno, and you are listening to the world famous the University of Love, the best podcast in one, two, three galaxies. But, ladies and gentlemen, you and I would just call this show Online Market Moves. We are coming to you live today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Colonel Tony Resano. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a big announcement to make. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a Kentucky Colonel. Okay. I filled out an application to be a Kentucky Colonel because I mean, we all need titles. Everybody's calling themselves something these days. So I went and filled out an application to be a Kentucky Colonel. Number one, I grew up close to Kentucky. I like the place. I've been there numerous times, and I've always enjoyed the great state of Kentucky, whether it be Louisville, Paducah, uh, Frankfurt. I've been every part of Kentucky. Okay, so who else best to represent being a Kentucky Colonel? So you know, uh, filled out an application. Somebody filled out an application for me. Got to get somebody to nominate you. Filled it out. Blah blah blah. I sitting at home one day last week. Open my mailbox, boom, big old letter. I'ma frame it. Said, Tony Risano, Kentucky Colonel. So from now on, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Honorable Tony Risano, Colonel Risano, whichever one you want to go, whichever one you want to roll with, okay? But listen, we on the up and up. I changed my Instagram name to a doctor, but now we don't have to be a doctor. I'm a real life colonel, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of stuff you get when you tune into this show. And if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. We are ramping up the podcast. We're gonna do more podcasts, get more interviews. We're not paying anybody, so don't be looking for no handouts. Okay, we can churn this butter with or without you. It don't make me none, okay? We're not giving you $5,000, $10,000 to talk a bunch of nonsense on this show. No, 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 no. We're like PBS. So we do things on a budget. We do things for the freebies, okay? You can get plenty of you can get plenty of publicity, okay, when you do this here podcast, okay? We are coast to coast, nation to nation, from the United States all the way to Australia, okay? We have been heard by numerous amount of people. Some might not understand nothing that's going on in this show. Some fell in love, okay? Still in love. Want to marry the show. So go ahead and let's give 'em a reason to marry the show. We're gonna be coming to you live quite often, okay? The Colonel, Colonel Risano, Master P called himself a Colonel. Master P, get out the way. I'm the real Colonel of the tank. Er, Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we have something very important to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you gotta walk you gotta walk the walk, and you gotta strut the strut, ladies and gentlemen, okay? You gotta be your own cheerleader sometimes, okay? What do I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen? Nobody's gonna promote your show like you. Nobody's gonna brag about your show like you. Nobody's gonna brag about you like you. You have to be the greatest ambassador of you. If you don't believe in you, nobody else will believe in you. You got to believe in yourself. Okay, you have to tell yourself, "Whoop, whoop. We are here to stay. We are going to make it. We gonna be all right." Okay. The reason why I bring this up, ladies and gentlemen, I was watching. You know, I've been spending a lot of time with my newborn baby at night from 8 p.m. to 3 p.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. So we spent a lot of time together the last month, uh, baby and me, and we've been watching a lot of TV, watching a lot of Food Network. I like Food Network. It's a cool little network. One thing that makes me laugh is the people and food. Food is very subjective, okay? Um, you might like your cheeseburger medium well. I might like my cheeseburger, well done. Well, I ain't gonna eat the cheeseburger anyway, but I'm gonna eat a hamburger. And so you're watching these shows, and you see these people, and they're like, "This judge is blah 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 blah," and yeah, I'm sure they're nice people, and I'm sure they're quote unquote food experts. But who's really a food expert and who's really a bad? Now we can all agree sometimes some people just can't flat out boil water, and that's okay. But the chef that you see on TV, it's always like a small thing they get knocked on. "Oh, I didn't like the way you made these crepes, okay, these crepes. I didn't like the way I like my tortilla soft, not so hard, it's a lot of judging going on. But how do these people get on TV? How do these people get all these jobs? Publicity, okay? They toot their own horn. They pay somebody to toot their own horn. Ladies and gentlemen, it's like that saying. What's that saying? Man, you ain't ugly. You just broke. Okay, it's the same as getting pub. Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Publicity. Okay. Let me teach my daughter sight words, so I'm learning how to re rework the enunciation of things. Publicity, not to be confused with sensitivity. But, ladies and gentlemen, you gotta work the angles. You gotta work your backyard. You gotta work your market. You gotta work your network. Okay. Who do you know? Who can put you in the paper? Who can put you in the phone book? Who can put you on the commercial? Who can spout your name out? Uh, from all walks of life, man, ladies and gentlemen, we've all had to toot our own horn. I mean, from Jesus Christ himself, okay? Moses had to sell himself to the people. Jesus was getting publicity. He was getting plenty of it. The only place that he couldn't do miracles was in his hometown, and we all know how that goes. Wherever you are from, they will look at you not as a hero a lot of times. They will look at you as, oh, they think they're better than me, dot, dot, dot. Okay. Sometimes some people are able to go back and they like, hey man, but a lot of times it's a lot of envy and a lot of jealousy, but that's neither here nor there. I say all that to say, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't matter what people think of you. Everybody ain't gonna like you. Everybody ain't gonna love you anyway. So toot your own horn. Be the master of your publicity. Okay, get out there, beat the horn, blow the horn, wear your shirts, wear your hats, wear your belt chains, wear your keychains, wear your aprons. Sell yourself, I remember the great Jim Ross, great uh pro wrestling Hall of Famer. He was announcing games wearing his traditional JR hat, and he would be talking about his barbecue sauce and this, that, and the third. And ladies and gentlemen, JR was in the business of selling himself. You have to. These days, everybody wants to be a celebrity. Everybody thinks that it's cool to position themselves and to be a celebrity, and they're not really a celebrity. They're just somebody that either hangs around somebody famous, or they buy people that come up to them with a microphone and they're like, "Hey, let me ask you a question," and they pretend like they're famous. That's what we call faking it till you make it. And uh, whether you do that or not, that's totally up to you. I wouldn't do it. If I see you doing it, I'm not gonna recommend you to many people because a lot of people want to learn this stuff, but a lot of people don't want to go through AI, and AI sometimes don't work. I was driving downtown a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I saw a Waymo stuck by an apartment complex just sitting there. So do with that as you want. Okay. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to make sure that you are doing the right things to get the publicity. Now I was looking in my paper, my newspaper that I can get at my house. It's called the Marietta Journal, okay? And even in a paper that small, if you have to start off small with your with the publicity you want, start off small, work your way up, if you can get on small podcasts, work your way up. If you can get on YouTube channels, work your way up. The thing is, ladies and gentlemen, you gotta get started. You gotta figure out the theme that you want to talk about. And the quicker you learn, stick to a theme. Do not be like me, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I was all over the map, here, there, and everywhere. Uh, so I can give this advice. A lot of times it's like, um, you know, Ronnie Coleman. When if you see Ronnie Coleman, the bodybuilder, now Ronnie Coleman is super famous. Well, famous to me, but I'm sure people probably asked him his opinion about other things, but in the beginning, they just wanted to know Ronnie Coleman workout tips. They just want to know weightlifting. They didn't even want to know his diet. They just want to know now how much weight you lifting and how much protein should I take? And then they probably asked him the two questions, and he was in the magazine flexing and doing all that. And Ronnie Coleman, and once you get to a certain level of publicity, once you get to a certain level of fame, people start asking you more questions that you really should. This is why athletes think they're top tier geniuses. You get these athletes and they're asking them about politics, and it's like you really don't care about. I mean, unfortunately, when that lady says shut up and dribble, sometimes it's kind of like, hey man, just you should shut up and dribble. Some of y'all anyway. The lady shouldn't have said it, but I get where she was going because sometimes it is true. You're not the most informed people, athletes, and I understand why. Because look, when you work all day on your body, sometimes you don't have time for a lot of meaningful things. I know I wouldn't, and that's just the way that is. But, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter how small you start. We want to get into the business of starting small, putting yourself out there. Hey man, I'm available for podcasts, writing up notes, writing up sheets, writing up paper. If you have to send it off to 100 people. As I told you a couple weeks ago, I got my notary. I became a notary in Georgia. I gotta write a letter. I'm gonna write a letter and I'm gonna make a copy. I'm making probably about 100, 200 copies. I'm gonna look up a bunch of law firms, a bunch of real estate agents, because the money in the notary is who can you latch on to that has to do a lot of notaries. That's what you're looking for. Me going around, here and there and doing a notary is fine, but I want to latch on to somebody. So you gotta do your own little press, your own little publicity. Okay, and so we're gonna write a bunch of letters and we're going to set up a little website and we are going to make sure people know that we are here to notarize their important papers, the legal way, the on the up and up way, not no shady way. And so you got to let people know what you got going on, okay? Um many years of my life when I was a kid, I was pretty we're gonna say I was not the most chatty person in the world. Okay, I would chat it up with my family. I would chat it up with anybody that I considered a friend. A lot of times, people I went to school with, I didn't consider them friends. They were cool and all that, but we wasn't buddy. We wasn't cool by y'all, so I wouldn't say a whole lot. And so that transitioned over to my adult life, and I always thought I just keep my head down. But ladies and gentlemen, you do have to keep your head down to get the work done. But you gotta let people know. Even Thomas Edison was in the business of letting people know that he had stuff going on. It's just who he was. He wanted to keep the flame. He wanted to keep the flame going. He wanted to keep the notoriety going, and he wanted to keep the money rolling in. And so, ladies and gents, we all need to work on our publicity. We all need to work on who we're talking to, how we're talking to them, why we're talking to them, and figure out, you know, Not that you are looking to use people, you should not do that, but you are looking for partnerships. You are looking for strong partnerships. You are looking for people that can help you and that you can help them, okay? That's what you want, that's what you need. You can't always rely on your friend Joey from down the block, John Boy up from up the street. John Boy don't know nothing about a whole lot. So, he can be my dog, but he can't be my right hand man when it comes to business. I got a cousin who's a brother. Um, he knows a lot. Like if I said, hey man, I wanna learn about some stock, he could he could tell me about stock, and things of that nature. So see, sometimes you gotta work with people that actually know what they're doing. And you can't always work with people, even though they're your friends, family. Just because they're friends and family, don't mean they won't screw you over. And it might not be on purpose, but ladies and gentlemen, you gotta come on with the come on, and you gotta just start working on the publicity, whether it be the phone book, the internet. And I'm gonna give you some advice, ladies and gentlemen. You want to get off that internet, and you want to make sure that people are seeing you, whether it be a billboard, whether it be in the phone book, whether it be at a school event. Does not matter. You want to be seen because you want the company name to keep working for you. Doesn't matter who's in the building. Who is in what matters is the shop still open, and is it still functioning, and is it still profiting, okay? It's not about, "Oh, man, my dad, I need to take over, blah, blah, blah." No, just keep the same name, and get the rocking and rolling. It's not about an individual person. It's about you. It's about your future. It's about, hey, can you pass it on to your kids? Can your kids pass it on to their kids? That's what you're looking for because listen, ladies and gentlemen, I've worked a lot of years. Working sucks, okay? If I had a dad and he owned a tire shop, listen, I would be in Missouri right now, being the manager of the tire shop. If we kept that thing afloat. God bless, God bless, God bless the way it worked out. You know what I'm saying? But if my parents would have had any type of business or something like that, and the business was successful, living in Missouri, like a fat rat, I probably would have been stay in Missouri. Definitely my brother. Well, my brother didn't go anywhere anyway, but I might would have looked at things a little different because it's a different story when you are running the show. And so, ladies and gentlemen, keep that in mind because you want to. At the end of the day, you want to do you do want to pass something on to your children, if you have kids. If not, pass something on to your niece and nephew, whether it be money, business, a house, a car, don't matter. The more positive you can get your kids in the right direction, the better off they will be, ladies and gents. Okay. That's just a fact of life. I started off in life, uh, my first year, after I graduated, I was in debt. uh, Told my mom, "That's it for me, sister." Joining the military, she acted all sad. She said, "We can do this one more time." I said, "You can do it one more time. I'm not signing my name to another loan." I thought it was a big waste of time, and I don't regret that at all. And so, ladies and gentlemen, just remember, you got to toot your own horn. Okay, you got to toot your own horn. Does not matter. Your story is your story. Everybody has a unique story. Why? Because your story is your story. My story is my story. Their story is their story, and so on and so forth. And so I know that you are going to be okay. Whether it be online classified ads, whether it be the Marietta Daily Journal, whether it be the Ohio Beacon Daily Journal, okay? Does not matter. You want to get your name in there anyhow, some kind of way, okay? And hopefully you can get in there for the cheap, cheap, cheap. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it. We'll be back tomorrow with the all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. Don't forget to brag on yourself. Until then, my name is the Colonel, Honorable Tony Resano. Thank you for listening. God bless each and every one of you. And as always, everybody, peace.